And welcome back to the Daily Wrap. So on April 1st, and no, this won't be an April Fool's joke, Seattle's minimum wage will jump to $11 an hour on its way to $15 an hour by 2017. The law, spearheaded by self-described Seattle City Council member Keishon Saw-Amit. Here she is last June on Democracy Now!, celebrating her victory.
This is an absolutely historic moment, not only for Seattle, but for working people all over the nation and even globally. What we won here is the possibility for 100,000 workers, low-wage workers in Seattle, to be lifted out of poverty over the next 10 years. And it signifies a transfer of income of $3 billion from the richest in the city to the bottommost workers, the workers who make the city run.
And she continues.
What a reversal of fortune this is, because for the last several decades, it's been a systematic gushing up of income and wealth from the bottom to the top. And this is one of the first really big fight back against the status quo of income inequality and a race to the bottom for ordinary working people.
Okay, so the Seattle Restaurant Alliance worked with the mayor's office during initial discussions over raising the minimum wage, but at the end did not support the deal. Seattle-based Starbucks CEO Howard Schultz, we've heard about him lately, told CNN he isn't sure $15 an hour is the proper wage.
I do think that there are fundamental issues and a larger gap between the haves and have-nots in America. And I applaud the president for taking a stance on raising minimum wage. I'm not sure that the rhetoric around $10 at the federal level or $15 at the state level of Washington is the right number.
Okay, so let's start with Rick Unger. You delved into this topic on Sunday in Forbes. Tell us what you wrote about.
I did. What got my attention on this piece was I began reading stories about how this was having this dire impact on local restaurants in Seattle, and I'm going, how can that be? It hasn't even gone into effect yet. Maybe it's going to have a terrible result, but I don't know how they're proclaiming that. So I began to look at the data, and it was fascinating. This all began with a story in a weekly lifestyle magazine where they interviewed 4 restaurant owners who were shutting down their restaurants. The problem was not a one of them was shutting down their restaurant because of the minimum wage. One of them was closing it up because she was opening up 2 others. One of them had sold the restaurant. It was, on and on and on. I'm going, this is crazy. And so I actually delved into it, did a lot of interviews. You could read my piece on this at Forbes.com. It had nothing to do with the minimum wage. Now, again, I can't tell you if this increase is going to hurt the business or not. I can tell you that the head of the Restaurant Association that we just cited has totally calmed down on this and has said, yeah, there'll be some changes, but it's all going to be fine. Everybody will get through. And I can also tell you that they've done the math on this, and you're looking at about a 5 cents on the dollar increase on your bill.
Yeah, I disagree with you, and
What's
here's
to
why
disagree with about? We don't know yet.
For starters, we do, because we have a $9 minimum wage in Seattle, higher than a lot of the country. And by the way, 2013, that's what Obama was saying his goal minimum wage was.
How do we know the restaurants are shutting down?
So, if you look at the profit margin, you can first of all, you can look at where this has happened before, and the 40% minimum wage increase at the federal level ended up costing 550,000 jobs.
Because you said you disagreed. Tell me
Yes, I do
why.
disagree. So, if you want to look at the profit margin side of it, why I think it's going to have an impact, 36%.
No. You're saying you think it's going to. I didn't tell you it wasn't. You told me you disagreed when I said that it couldn't possibly have had one yet.
I think
now,
it already
can I also,
has had
no,
an
it
impact.
hasn't. Show
Because
me,
you can look
where's
at it
the evidence?
nationally.
Jillian has the floor.
Where's the evidence?
You can look at it nationally, and we know that it costs jobs. Okay, so how high is too high to have a minimum wage where it doesn't cost jobs? What's the level at which you think it's not going to have an
want to get me into this discussion about all that stuff. All I'm saying is...
No, just give me a number. It's a simple theoretic.
No, I didn't say anything to the contrary. I said that in Seattle, not the nation, in Seattle, we have no evidence of yet. You may turn out to be right.
I absolutely do think that we
What's
have
the
evidence on a national level.
Seattle?
We know from national times that we've raised minimum wage that it has had an impact on jobs. And I think your refusal to answer how high you think it can go without.
I have no idea how high it can go. That's not a refusal. I don't know.
But when you're trying to figure things out, how is Seattle
Seattle's
different?
unique.
Because Seattle's the one that raised it to $15.
Right.
And Seattle was the point of what we're talking about. we can talk
So
about
you were
Tuscaloosa,
making the argument
but
that
I haven't researched Tuscaloosa. I've researched Seattle.
Well, and why? But I think you're now arguing apples and oranges because you're not saying
Yeah.
necessarily that the minimum wage is even going to be better and that it's not going to be worse. You're just saying we don't know that yet
We
for
don't know it
Seattle.
yet. That's
But I
exactly
think
what
that
I'm saying.
you'll agree
I'm
then that
saying-
Jillian's right that as far as nationally, we have seen that it has actually led to a decline in
Really?
employment to population ratio.
Really?
Can I jump in?
Absolutely.
When was the last time we
May
had
I
a
jump
minimum
in?
wage increase?
So I always thought there was compromise in this. There's always compromise with numbers, right? And we're almost out of time. But I always thought where
We
it
should
currently
continue
is
this.
right now is too low. But 15 is too high, and maybe 11 is the right number. And Rick's right to a certain extent where we don't know what will happen when it goes to 15.
We don't.
Right, but
We know it'll cost you an additional 5 cents for every
There are
dollar.
okay,
we
we'll
know
continue this
4%
after the break. Coming up next, potluck time. We're going to continue this discussion though right on the other side of the break. This is the Daily Wrap, only on Newsmax TV.
I really want to.